Right outside of here, officers say they had to pull the suspect off of the dispatcher. He beat her so bad she had several fractures to her face, including a broken jaw.
It breaks my heart that somebody would do that to another human being.
Brutal photos show Barbara King after she was badly beaten while inside of the Clarksdale Police Department. Just like any other day, she was the only dispatcher on duty Wednesday morning. But on this day, police say Stacy Clark came into the department asking for property that had been left in the building. She tried reaching an officer, but they were all on patrol.
For some strange reason, he accused her of lying to him.
Police say he started beating her. Luckily, she had the strength to dispatch officers for help.
She tried to get away from him by going outside,
but she couldn't escape him. Police say he continued beating her until officers arrived and pulled him off of her. These photos show King just days after the attack. She now has bleeding to her brain, a broken arm, and several face fractures. Police Chief Sandra Williams says the department has security measures in place, but didn't say how Clark got inside the department when the doors were locked.
The doors at the Clarksdale Police Department are locked from 5 p.m. until 8 a.m. the following morning, and they are locked during holidays.
King is now on medical leave as she recovers.
Being involved in something so traumatic, I just hope for her mental health that she heals completely from that.
And King's family tells me that she is staying strong. She's expected to have her first surgical repair tomorrow.
The Dalton Police Department is investigating a killing on Dozier Street. It happened around 9 p.m. Monday. Police say they found 43-year-old Dalton resident Paul Garant at the scene. He was taken to Erlanger Hospital where he died. Anyone with information is asked to call the police.
Steele County indicts a man accused of killing a Dalton man just days before Christmas. Aaron Howell faces murder charges for the death of Paul Garant. Authorities arrested Howell in April. Police say 3 nights before Christmas last year, Garant was beaten while he was walking down the street. He was taken to the hospital, and that's where he died. Investigators say they received a tip tying Howell to the homicide, and physical evidence backed up the claims. Howell will be arraigned on August 11th.
Pair are facing charges tonight in connection with the death of a 59-year-old man at the fair.
The state's attorney says the victim was attacked by the 15 and 16-year-old suspects because he would not give them a dollar bill.
And WJZ investigator Mike Helgren, he is live near the victim's home in Mount Airy. He has the latest on this case. Mike?
Denise and Vic, the judge in this case, called it a terrible tragedy. Right now, these teens are charged in juvenile court, but the state's attorney says that could change. Witnesses captured the attack at the Great Frederick Fair Friday night on camera. Prosecutors say 2 teenagers punched 59-year-old John Weed from Mount Airy because he would not give them a dollar bill. WJZ is not showing the full video of the violent incident. The teens, 15 and 16-year-old brothers, are being held in the custody of the Maryland Department of Juvenile Services. Frederick County State's attorney explains how the tragic chain of events unfolded.
The juveniles asked this man for a dollar. There was some sort of dialogue that ensued after that that made it a negative situation. There was a punch that was delivered to the back of the head by the 16-year-old. At that point in time, there was a number of minutes that elapsed after that, at which point in time the younger 15-year-old comes flying through, lands a deadly blow.
The victim's parents wept in court. The father of the boys pleaded for them to be let out pending trial. "My son is not an animal. He's never been in trouble. He made a mistake. He's only 15. I feel for the other family. They lost a loved one. My son doesn't deserve to spend the rest of his life in prison."
We're getting reports as the TJ High students sucker punched somebody and they were out cold.
The state's attorney also spoke about the motive.
It wasn't over race, but again, that's a question we have as well. So we're going to pursue that. If the facts warrant a charge of a hate crime, we'll charge it.
Prosecutors say they may bring manslaughter charges against the 15-year-old. They believe he landed the fatal blow. The victim never regained consciousness.
This was a completely unprovoked attack. There is nothing that has come to light thus far about provocation or about the victim stating anything that would have provoked the incident.
And the state's attorney says he is still reviewing video in this case and that more suspects could be charged. The teen's public defender said his clients were in complete shock when he told them the man had died. Live in Mount Airy, Mike Helgren, WJZ.
$1. That's what police say led to the death of a man over the weekend at the Great Frederick Fair.
Now the two teenagers who police say are responsible aren't being charged as adults. WMER 2 News' Erin McPherson reached out to the man's family and friends today. She joins us live tonight from Shock Trauma. Erin.
This is where 59-year-old John Weed died after taking 2 blows to the head while enjoying time at the fair with his family. The family too upset to speak with us tonight, but I did get to learn a little bit about him from one of his dear friends in Mount Airy. A constant search.
I kept Googling, man killed at Frederick Fair, man killed at Frederick Fair. I kept trying to get it. They weren't releasing it due to the family. I just had a feeling. I didn't sleep last night. I Googled it in the middle of the night. And this morning, I found out it was John Weed.
Gary Lingerhoos in disbelief.
It's hard to believe your buddy's gone. You'll never see him again.
John Weed was at the Great Frederick Fair Friday with family when 2 brothers asked him for $1. The 3 got into an argument. That's when police say the 16-year-old punched Weed in the back of the head. Then the 15-year-old gave the deadly blow. Their names haven't been released since they're being held on juvenile charges.
I hope they're charged as adults. They took someone's life. 15 or 16, I don't know what point you become an adult, but to me, if you kill somebody, you're an adult.
Lingerhoos was one of Weed's friends.
Just talk about hunting, fishing, crabbing.
A friendship that started decades ago.
He was my deer butcher from 1985 to 1998. These are some of the deer that John did for me.
The last time he saw Weed was the day before he was killed at the Ace Hardware shop where Lingerhoos works, and he was supposed to see him on Saturday.
We called him. He didn't answer his phone. John's not like that. When I call John, he answers his phone. And then I found out why he didn't answer his phone.
Weed's family tells me they plan on releasing a statement tomorrow, and they have created a GoFundMe account. That link is on our website, WMAR2news.com. Reporting live from Shock Trauma, Erin McPherson, WMAR 2 News.
Really a tragedy here. We now know that the victim in this case is 49-year-old Spring Weems. She was found dead inside of a trash can outside of her Logan County home, and now we know the accused killer was her adopted son.
You're talking about a woman who lost her life in just a brutal way.
This was the scene KOCO brought to you Wednesday afternoon in Logan County near Bryant and Simmons Road. It started as a welfare check when family members hadn't heard from 49-year-old Spring Weems.
When the 911 call was made for that welfare check, whenever deputies showed up to the house, that there were only those 2 teens who were there.
Investigators searched the property and tried piecing together stories from each teen.
When deputies continued to talk with them and learn more about maybe what had occurred, they were able to basically piece together that the woman was not there. When they looked for her, they found her in that trash can in front of the property.
Deputies arrested Weems' adopted teenage son in connection to her murder. They couldn't say how she was killed, only that her body was found in a trash can. They also couldn't say how long she had been there.
We're not going to go into specifics with the injuries right now, but we can say that that is still part of our process. And so when we learn a little bit more from the medical examiner's office, we will provide that to you guys.
Investigators did confirm both teens lived in the home with Weems.
This is just a terrible case. Nobody deserves to die as this woman did. And so this is extremely sad.
And we now know that teenager is in the Canadian County Juvenile Facility on a first-degree murder complaint. They're still trying to figure out a motive.
A Winona man faces life behind bars after being indicted on murder charges. 49-year-old Ricky Darnell Waiters is accused of killing one man and injuring another in a drive-by shooting at Edie's Corner Bar in Winona in late July. A grand jury found enough evidence to indict Waiters on all 9 charges, including first-degree murder and attempted first-degree murder. Waiters is scheduled to appear in a Winona County courtroom next Monday and does face life in prison if convicted.
An Oakland woman visiting an ATM late at night was followed home by a car full of thieves who blocked her in and then held her up. It's just one of many recent robberies across the city that have left victims shaken. Our crime reporter Henry Lee spoke to that woman today about her experience. Henry?
Alex, it's a frightening situation. You go to the bank or ATM and you think you're safe when you get home. That wasn't the case for this woman who says she was tailed back home and targeted by robbers she thinks have done this before.
It's the worst it's ever been. I've never felt like I had to look over my shoulder.
This Oakland woman says she was followed home from a bank, boxed in and held up by 4 robbers. She wanted to be identified as Stephanie and asked that we not show her face.
It was scary. It was scary. In hindsight, I absolutely know they followed me from the ATM.
Stephanie says she made a cash deposit at the Wells Fargo ATM at Lakeshore and Trestle Glen at about 9:45 Sunday night and then drove home.
I noticed that a car was behind me, but that's not unusual. But when I did turn onto my street, I did take note that the car was still behind me.
She pulled into this church parking lot near her home. By then, she realized 2 cars were following her. The cars made a couple of U-turns, and she decided to drive around the block before returning to the parking lot.
But at that point, they reappear. They enter the parking lot. I quickly try to throw my car into reverse and drive around them, but they boxed me in.
4 robbers got out, and one of them demanded her belongings.
We struggled over my purse a little bit.
She honked her horn, and they took off with her purse. The robbery happened a day after this woman was held up by 2 carloads of robbers in the Trestle Glen neighborhood. She says the Kia Forte and Kia Sportage looked like the same vehicles involved in her robbery. And also in the Trestle Glen neighborhood, a 15-month-old girl was hit by shrapnel when her nanny was targeted by robbers, one of whom fired a shot into the ground after she, too, struggled with them.
We're asking individuals who might be approached by someone, whether they're armed or not, to not resist.
I don't know what the answer is, but we shouldn't be afraid to walk up the street.
So the takeaways: check your rear view mirror, don't engage, don't resist, be a good witness, and call police immediately if you've been victimized or witness a crime. Live in the newsroom, Henry Lee, KTVU, Fox 2 News.
Yep, good advice really for anyone. Henry, thank you.
Tonight, a suspect is behind bars in the 37-year-old presumed murder of a White Cloud man. It's a case that police say they never forgot. We're hearing from a mother grateful that a suspect has been arrested while dreading the trial that's expected to come. News 8's Bart Dieters is in Newaygo County with the story.
Rick Atwood was last seen here in White Cloud in August of 1983. It would be 2 months later that his bloody car would be discovered 50 miles away in Grand Rapids. Police always suspected that Roy Snell was responsible, but it was only this week that an arrest was made with the help of the State Attorney General's office and state police.
Rick was the one that was murdered, but every member of the Atwood family, every one of Rick's friends, and unfortunately even the suspect's family will pay for this as well.
The sheriff here was freshly graduated from high school and knew the suspect and the victim's family. He said for police in this town of about 1,400, it was personal.
There was a young man that lost his life and never had the chance to really become a father and a member of the community, a husband.
Investigators believe the slaying was over some marijuana and money. The victim shot multiple times in the driver's seat of his 1975 Trans Am and moved into the trunk where he likely died. His body's never been found, leaving his mother with only 40-year-old memories of her son.
His real gentle side to him, loved animals.
She said he was a good kid who got caught up with the wrong people.
He was good to us. He was good to us.
He was the oldest of her 5 children.
He was a typical teenager, played Little League football.
She said she's glad the suspect is in jail, but says peace is still far off.
The closure isn't there yet. The fact that he's arrested and he's not going to fight extradition is good.
She plans to be there for the trial whenever it comes.
The closure will come when it's all over.
Extradition can be a lengthy process, but it's expected the trial will take place right here in White Cloud. In Newaygo County, Barton Dieters, News 8.
To protect his family. That's what police in Plant City say happened to a Michigan man Friday night during an attempted armed robbery. This happened at a mobile station on Wheeler Street. The suspect, a 19-year-old, last night arrested. Josh Cassio live tonight at the Orient Road Jail, where the suspect is behind bars. Josh, what happened?
Well, Mark, police are calling this an unfortunate and a random incident. It leaves a kind family man dead and a 19-year-old facing first-degree murder. The last thing 67-year-old Michael Besson did was put himself between his wife and a man with a gun.
When this other guy approached him, Mike would be the type to say, now wait a minute, let's talk this out.
It was just before 8:30 Friday. Besson was pumping gas at this mobile when Plant City police say two men tried robbing his wife. When he intervened, he wound up shot. The father, grandfather, and former service member visiting from Michigan died at the scene.
This guy would not hurt a fly, you know. It was my best friend down here.
He was right there, whether it was working on your car, you know, or anything. He was just a great neighbor, a great friend.
Sunday, police arrested 19-year-old Xavier Smith, charging him with Besson's murder. We've learned just minutes before that shooting, Smith and another person attempted another robbery across the street at a BP station. Money appears to be their sole mission.
We don't believe that the victim was targeted. We believe that it was a somewhat random act. From a law enforcement perspective, we tell folks all the time, tangible property is not worth losing your life over, but each person has to make their own judgment.
Likely in the wrong place at the wrong time, friends of Besson can't believe it was him, wishing for a different outcome.
It was a shame. It was senseless.
When I heard about it, it was like it was a dream. You couldn't believe it.
And Xavier Smith being held here without bond. As for that second person, police are still looking for them tonight. We do know they are poring over video from both gas stations as they continue their investigation, but they could also use some help from the public. So if you know anything, contact the Plant City Police Department. Mark, back to you.
Yeah, let's hope they come up with something. Josh, thanks very much.
Actually, we just got a verdict, guilty of first-degree murder, Mark. It didn't take the jury that long to decide, and this is some of the evidence that helped them make that decision. Not long after Xavier Smith and his accomplice were involved in a fatal robbery and then seen running off on video, Smith began confessing all of it to police.
Where were you at before you guys went to the stores? Before I went to the stores, I was at Jackson's house. You were at Jackson's house.
During the police interrogation, Smith told detectives he and co-defendant Alquan Dixon needed money and wanted to rob someone. So they headed to the mobile gas station in Plant City and came across Joshua Sands pumping gas.
What happened when you gave him your wallet?
He looked at it. He asked me if I had any cash, and I said no. And then he gave it back, and he said, "Don't call the cops." And then both of them turned around and walked across the street to the other gas station.
Prosecutors say the two then targeted Bonnie and Michael Beeson. Michael was pumping gas when Smith pointed a gun at him and demanded his wallet, while Dixon was trying to take Bonnie's purse, but she refused to give it up.
And I was looking him right in the face when he pulled the trigger and killed him.
Gas station clerk Jonathan Jones saw the commotion and rushed outside to help, but it was too late.
All I remember next is I'm getting robbed, and I hear a boom.
You hear someone say, "I'm getting robbed"?
Yes.
But the defense insisted Smith was not the shooter that night. Dixon was. They pointed out Smith was trying to urge Dixon to leave.
Xavier Smith did everything he possibly could to prevent the death of Michael Beeson. He confronted a co-defendant not once, but twice. That co-defendant chose to execute Michael Beeson.
But it clearly did not convince a jury. Again, Smith found guilty of first-degree murder. He was sentenced today to life in prison without parole. And keep in mind, his co-defendant starts trial next week.
Good morning to you. Buscemi's publicist is calling it a random act of violence, and it appears that's exactly what happened here along 3rd Avenue. Another person assaulted seemingly out of nowhere. This time, Brooklyn native Steve Buscemi. He was here along 3rd Avenue when he was punched last week. Now, he was walking here along 3rd Avenue Wednesday in broad daylight. It was just before noon. Buscemi was then taken to a nearby hospital with bruising, swelling, and bleeding to his left eye. His publicist says he will be okay, and he appreciates everyone's well wishes, and we're sure he's been getting a lot of those well wishes. Buscemi, of course, is a hometown favorite and a former FDNY firefighter. He has a career in movies and TV that spans 4 decades and includes roles in award-winning movies like Fargo and Reservoir Dogs. Now, while no arrests have been made, we do have a picture of the suspect in this case. Take a look at your screen. We're going to show it to you. Police are asking for your help to identify this suspect. Officials describe him as a man with a dark complexion, wearing a dark baseball cap, blue t-shirt, black pants, and white sneakers. He was carrying a book bag, as you can see here in this photo. Now, back out here live, police say the investigation into this random assault is ongoing. If you know who that suspect is in that photo, or if you have any information that can help police, you are asked to contact the NYPD. In Kips Bay, I'm Julie Millay, Pix 11 News.
A toddler found alive. His parents discovered dead inside of their Hoover home this morning. Thanks so much for joining us. I'm Brittany Decker.
And I'm Carla Wade. Hoover police are now investigating this incident as a murder-suicide. WBTM 13's Zoe Blair has been following this story for us today, and she's now live at the scene. What do we know so far, Zoe?
Well, Brittany, Carla, police say a 911 call came in this morning saying that a family member had found a husband and wife dead from gunshot wounds inside this home. A 3-year-old was found inside unharmed. A neighbor tells me that 3-year-old is their son. The female has been identified as Christina Chambers. She was a longtime sports reporter and spent several years working for Fox 6 News here in Birmingham. We've seen so many of her friends, family, and colleagues out here today, and it's clear she will be very missed. Now, I spoke with her neighbor Charles Maple, who says Christina was truly one of a kind, and he's heartbroken knowing she's gone.
She was just a beautiful person, and she was a great athlete. She loved her new job, loved what she did in the past. She always talked about it, you know. But it's the kind of person that you know, she was special. You know, I'm 80 years old now, and I've seen a lot of people, but you always come across somebody when you know they got it, and she had it.
Now, Hoover police are still investigating the incident. We were told earlier today that we were going to get an update on that investigation sometime this evening. As soon as we get that information, we'll bring it to you on air and online.
We begin with breaking news. A former sports reporter and anchor was found dead in a home in Hoover this morning. Good evening, I'm Sherry Jackson.
And I'm Carly Lane. Christina Chambers was one of the 2 victims found dead from gunshot wounds in a home. CBS 42's Maddie McQueen joins us now live in our newsroom with details on this investigation. Maddie?
Carly, Hoover police are saying it was a murder-suicide. Police say a family member found a husband and wife dead from gunshot wounds and called police around 9 o'clock this morning.
According to Hoover police, a 3-year-old was home at the time but was not hurt. It was an emotional scene on Highland Manor Court as neighbors and family mourned the couple. Though many were too upset and wished not to be on camera, some neighbors tell me Christina Chambers was a, quote, delightful and beautiful person. Christina Chambers had a long history with sports in Alabama. According to UAB, Chambers was a Coleman native who won a state championship in 300-meter hurdles in 2006 and held 5 school records. Chambers was a track and field athlete at UAB, graduating in 2009 with a degree in mass communication. After college, Chambers continued pursuing sports in the broadcast world, working with news stations from Columbus, Georgia, to Montgomery, to Birmingham with WBRC TV. When she left WBRC, Chambers covered the Alabama High School Athletic Association football championships with Alabama Public Television.
She had an understanding about sports that not everybody that covers it has. Hers weren't just opinions. She knew the sacrifice that it took And beyond that, she just did her job with not only with great passion, but with real joy.
Behind the television screen, Chambers taught broadcast journalism to students at Thompson High School. Principal Wesley Hester sent a letter to parents and students saying in part, quote, "We are deeply saddened by the passing of our former employee, Christina Chambers. Many of you worked with Christina in many capacities, whether it be TV and film classes, THS TV, or Warrior Nation Network." Chambers currently worked with Blue Cross Blue Shield of Alabama. Corporate Communications Director Sophie Martin released a statement reading in part, quote, "Christina was a cherished colleague whose warmth and loving personality touched everyone she worked with. Christina was a source of joy and inspiration to our team and company. She will be greatly missed." Beyond being a passionate sports personality in the state, Chambers is being remembered as a devoted mother.
My last conversation with her was 2 weeks ago on the sidelines of Protective Stadium about her young child and how much she loved and enjoyed him and couldn't wait to get home and see him. You could tell that she had taken to motherhood. She lit up when she talked about her child. And we were standing on the sidelines shivering, but I got the impression talking about her child warmed her from the inside.
Here at Protective Stadium, I'm Christina Chambers, WBRC Fox 6 News, on your side.
A former sports reporter and her husband were both found dead in their Alabama home in what police say was a murder-suicide. The bodies of 38-year-old Christina Chambers and 41-year-old Johnny Rhymes were found with gunshot wounds, according to the Hoover Police Department. Their 3-year-old son was also found inside the house unharmed. A neighbor of the couple reportedly told People.com that the boy opened the door for his grandfather, who came to check on the couple after they missed a family gathering. Chambers was a sports reporter for WBRC until 2021. Her colleagues have been remembering her as a talented journalist and all-around great person.
To know Christina was to love her, and her warmth, her joy, and her humor left an impact on so many.
They have set up a GoFundMe account to raise money for the child she left behind. Police have not released other details about the incident, and they say they won't until the conclusion of the investigation.